Hello and welcome to Practical Spirituality with Yvette. So lately I've been thinking a lot about one topic. Well, okay, to be honest, it's not lately. It's pretty much my entire life that I think about this topic. And the topic is food. I have to admit I'm a foodie. I love food. The thought of food, the taste of food, just preparing what I'm going to eat every day. I absolutely love food. And just recently I wrote an article, a guest blog post for Feed Your Soul about the link between spirituality and food. Because to me, eating and food in general is extremely spiritual. The connection to the raw nutrients of the earth, the way that Mama Gaia actually nourishes us, is extremely important in your day-to-day life. And so for me, food is something not just that I use to nourish myself in a very kind of sterile way, but it's this piece of me that is extremely important and in which it's a symbiotic relationship. I nourish my food through the energy that I put into its preparation and into choosing the ingredients, and it nourishes me via, what it gives my system. And so I feel like it's important to kind of take a minute here to emphasize the importance of food in the way that you prepare it, what you choose, and more importantly, finding that balance between what your body really needs and craves. Many of us have experienced what we consider to be unhealthy cravings. And the truth of the matter is that most of the time they're not really so unhealthy if they're done in moderation. In other words, most of us should be able to eat just about everything. Of course, there's exceptions and there's allergies and such like that, but the truth of the matter is that we have this capacity to tune into our bodies, to understand what our bodies really need. And that's part of the spiritual connection that we have from above as well as from below, because the food comes from the earth. So listening to your body is part of your spiritual journey. Understanding and using the tools at your disposal in order to recognize the foods that are best for your body is extremely important and something that we should develop time to do. And there's lots of different ways to do it. If you're unsure about your connection and your personal intuition, you can of course use a pendulum or kinesiology to test the reaction that you have to certain types of food. Because you might just discover that that food that you thought was actually extremely unhealthy for you, in your personal body type, is actually extremely healthy and important for you to eat. For example, especially in certain countries, there's a big fear around the amount of fats that we eat. And while it's true that an excess of any kinds of oil and fat and grease can be unhealthy for you, there are certain body types that actually do extremely well with things like olive oil or coconut oil. I mean, the Mediterranean lifestyle is built around the idea of lots and lots of olive oil. And why is that? It's because the body has adapted to it and actually craves that. So by listening to the connection of what your body is asking for, or using an energetical tool such as a pendulum or kinesiology, you can figure out exactly what it is that you should eat, what's best for you, what is that your body going to thrive off of. And that's one way for you to then kind of find the balance of your body. Because obviously our nutrition is the kind of base that we live from, and from there everything builds. The other thing about food is that it not only nourishes you physically, but it nourishes you emotionally. The preparation of food for some is a solitary act, and for some is something done in a group. For the solitary, if you take your time and prepare your food, regardless of whether or not you cook, or you're vegan, or you're vegetarian, or you're raw, the point is that the careful preparation of your food actually has the effect of calming your system and of helping you find your centered balance. The chopping or the preparation or just the careful time and patience put into a good meal, knowing that it's going to nourish you, has the ability to calm you, and help you find a center. I mean, that's pretty much why you find that when you're kind of working through a problem, sometimes going into the kitchen and preparing yourself a good meal acts like a sort of meditative experience for you to use. Also, just the eating of it and taking your time to kind of swallow and savor each bite also has an extremely meditative and kind of reparative or healthy energy. And so it's one great way for you to sort of find a place or find a routine that is going to help you wind down from the day's activities and to help you find a centered balance. And for other people, actually, the food preparation is an extremely social activity. It's something that you do in a group. It's something that you do in order to unite you with a group of people. I know that for myself, I very often will not start preparing the meal for a group of friends that are coming over until they arrive, so that we all sit in the kitchen and we all get together and are preparing the food as a unit, because that camaraderie, the conversations that happen, have a very spiritual purpose for me. They have a link to each person that's there, because we're each putting our energy into the food that we're preparing, and then we each get to savor each other's energy and kind of give each other a little bit of from the other. So food has a way of working as a solitary activity as well as a group activity. So I guess what I'm trying to get to is, and what this really practical spirituality tip is that food is more than just simple basic nourishment. And it should be something, the preparation of the food should be something that should be treasured and something that should be kind of taken with a little bit of sanctity. It's a sacred event. For eons, generations, and civilizations have been using celebrations with big feasts of food as a way to commemorate different kinds of activities. I mean, we ourselves can't have, any kind of holiday or any kind of even, vacation without thinking about where we're going to eat, or what are we going to eat, or do we bring people over, do we go to a restaurant or something. So regardless of whether you're preparing your food or you're going out to eat, before you put any morsel in your mouth, take a minute to thank the food for what it is going to give you. Take a minute to infuse your positive energy into the food, and so that that positive energy then is returned to you. And take a minute to really thank Mother Earth for everything she is providing for you. And this is why it's so important for you to pick the healthiest food that you can, the least processed food, so that Mother Earth has a way to, a direct channel to feed you with all the nutrients that she has to offer. I hope you've enjoyed this practical spirituality tip. I'm Yvette. Have a beautiful day.